Morning guys, Coach Jake here. In today's video, we got a quick set of movements that are great for anybody dealing with any mid, upper back, or neck pain. It's a great set of movements if you're stuck at a desk all day, if you're hanging out with arms and hands out in front of you a bunch for work. These are some of my go-to movements and some of my top recommendations for helping some of that accumulation that happens when we're hanging out and spending a bunch of time in specific positions. All right, so we're going to get started with some band pull aparts here. So you need a nice light resistance band for this one. And if you don't have one, don't worry, we can go over some stuff without the band here. But we're going to start with our hands right out in front of shoulders here, straight out in front. You can start palms down if you want to. You can work with different hand positions, that's totally cool. Palms facing each other, palms up, all that's good. And the big thing that we're trying to do here is really get shoulder blades squeezing together. So we should be feeling all this work through upper mid back. If you're feeling your chest working, if you're feeling the front of your arms and shoulders working, you might need a little bit of a lighter band. If you don't have a band, no biggie. We're just going to use our arms to create the same movement. So again, start with arms right out in front. And we're really trying to squeeze shoulder blades back and get all those muscles working and contracting here. You can play with different palm positions, different thumb positions. So go thumbs back, thumbs up, thumbs pointing towards each other. All those will get some different stuff activating and waking up there a little bit through the upper and mid back for you. The big idea here is that we're just trying to get stuff waking up, communicating with each other, and we're trying to get some blood flow going for you. So shoot for 15, 20 reps. That's probably a good range to get started if you want to hit that up for like 3 sets. Once things are warmed up and feeling groovy, we're going to grab a nice length of dowel here. If you don't have something like this readily available, a broomstick, a mop handle, Swiffer handle, all that's good. We just need something that's going to help keep our hands and arms moving in the same plane here. So start with a nice wide grip, pretty much as wide as is comfortable for you. We're going to squeeze shoulder blades back a little bit here, and then we're going to work on lifting arms up overhead. So touch that end range, whatever's feeling good for you at that moment. Taking a couple nice deep breaths into that spot, and then come back to that starting position. We're starting right here in front of hips. Think about arms directly behind ears. And we can bring that all the way back. This is one of my very favorite chest and shoulder openers here. I've been at this for a while, so you're probably going to be more up in here, maybe directly overhead with your end range. As soon as you're feeling that tension and that discomfort, just take a couple nice deep breaths into that. Make sure we got some ownership over that position. Eventually, you'll be working all the way back to the hips here. Now the goal is to keep everything in a nice straight line. We don't want to be breaking in wrist. We don't want to be breaking in elbow to create that range of motion. So arms stay straight, wrists stay straight. We're staying in a nice organized positions. So we're not breaking at elbow to create that. Everything stays in that nice straight line. Make sure you're moving with your breathing. Again, 15, 20 reps, something like that will be more than enough. Give that 3 rounds, and you should be feeling some nice changes in how shoulder and arms are moving and feeling there. We're going to get into some thoracic spine. That's our mid back. So the thoracic lives from bottom of the rib cage all the way up to the top of the shoulders, kind of base of the neck. So typically I like to start right here at the bottom of the rib cage. We're going to get feet in a nice comfortable position here. Butt's going to stay on the ground so we're not bridging up to help create this movement for us. If you need to, and it's more comfortable for you, we can throw hands behind head here for some extra support. And we always want to think about keeping chin nice and tucked here. So as much as possible, try to avoid really opening up neck here. That's going to create a little bit more stress through these muscles and structures in the back of the neck there for you. So feet nice and stable, hands behind head, chin tucked toward chest. And then again, we're always moving with the breath. So as we inhale, think about hands and head moving straight down towards the ground. And we're just using this foam roller as a nice kind of pivot point to get those vertebrae moving. Once that spot you're on is feeling a little bit different, we can inch our way up. And we're thinking about moving segment by segment here. So typically we have 12 thoracic vertebrae. So hitting 10, 12 different spots with this, not the worst idea in the world. So you're just going to inch your way up and down your back depending on where you started from. And as you can see here, it's not a crazy huge range of motion. What I'm doing with every rep that I'm getting in here is trying to increase how far I'm moving. So don't try to get to that end range when you're first getting started. What you should notice is some good improvement as you're spending some time working through those reps. Now, if you don't have a foam roller laying around, edge of a couch, edge of a bed, all that stuff isn't a bad idea either. Not a bad substitute. You are going to have to be a little bit more active in this. So again, we're going to start right at bottom of rib cage. And instead of thinking about moving head and hands back with this, I'm just going to let hips drop a little bit. Bridge back up, work back down. Really just trying to get that mid back, that upper back, a little bit more opened up. We're thinking about reversing that position that we're spending all that time in, okay? It's the big principle that we're working with here. And 15 or 20 reps here should suffice. Another one of my big go-tos is cat-camel, cat-cow from yoga, depending on what your preferred nomenclature is here. So we're going to go tabletop position. We want to get knees right underneath hips here, hands right underneath shoulders. On our inhalation, we're going to arch lower back, squeeze shoulder blades together, try to sink down, really get those shoulder blades pinched. In our exhalation, we're going to reverse that. So we're going to push up through our hands, spread those wings nice and wide, push up through knees, and really get that back arching up and rounding. Moving with your breathing is always recommended. We'll hit 10 of these real quick. And then our last movement here is going to be a little bit more hip focused on getting into some hip extension here. So you can start standing We're going to get a split squat stance going here. I want you to try to keep those toes and this back foot nice and engaged. And then we're going to use a nice big contraction in the glute. So we're going to squeeze our butt. And we're going to get that hip pushing forward. You can rock back in. Exhale with that glute squeeze. Whenever you're not able to squeeze that glute anymore, that is your end range of motion for this session. You want to think about helping hip stay nice and stable here. And if we're just kind of mindlessly stretching into that, we're not teaching body to stay coordinated with this movement. So again, big squeeze and butt here. You should feel the work back here in the hip and the stretch up through the front of the thigh and hip here. If that's not feeling quite like enough for you, we can up the intensity a little bit here by drawing lower leg and foot up behind us. So I like to use the bench here. You can use the front of your couch. If you don't have anything close by, we can just reach back and grab that back leg if you're able to. And again, we're going to use that squeeze in the glute to get into that extended position. So we're shooting for knee behind hip here. Again, 15 reps, 20 reps, something like that. Not as concerned about how many reps you're doing as the total amount of time that we're spending getting into these positions. So if you're feeling like 15 or 20 reps at a time is a little bit too much for you, just knock that down and do more sets. The goal anytime that we're moving, we're exercising, getting some resistance training going on, is total time under tension. That's what really creates some of these lasting changes that we're after. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions, need any clarification on anything. Always here to help out. Want you feeling better faster. Like, subscribe, share, do all the social media things. We'll catch you on the next one.